speaking of great programming on the Nachum Segal Network, tonight, 7 p.m., then again 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. tomorrow, it is the award-winning, incredibly popular international hit, Kedem presentation of the Erev Shabbos Show hosted by Mark Zomick. I wanted to bring Mark on for a couple of reasons, which we'll go through in a moment. He is with us live via telephone. Mark Zomick, a pleasure to welcome you back to JM in the AM.
Good morning.
You there? Mark, you there?
Yeah, I'm here now. Sorry.
Oh, there you are.
Good morning. Mazal Tov, Saba.
Toda rabba. I appreciate that very much. From one Saba to another. What are you to your grandchildren? Mark, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm Papa.
You're Papa. That's so cool. That's like Stephen Levinson, my mechutin, also Papa. You hear me clearly?
Yeah, I'm just in passing Newark Airport, so I assume I'm losing the cell, but I should be okay in a second.
Oh, boy. You think it's a conspiracy, or you think this is what usually happens to everybody in that area?
I think it's a little flaky, but we should be good now.
So a couple of things. I know that these are the... Now, I don't know if you'd agree with this, by the way. I was going to say these are the Parshios, but there are other times of the year, including the Shiva de Nechemta, those who are familiar with Haftorahs during the summer, where one would say, no, there's a lot, even more material for great musical selections on an Erev Shabbos show. The reason I chose this time of year to focus on as we get to Parshas Bo this week is because I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of dramatic selections. I think there's a lot of great songs that reflect these couple of weeks, Va'era, Bo, B'Shalach, etc. And I wanted to get your perspective on that. Am I on target, or am I completely overstepping on this one, Mark?
Well, you're partially on target. I believe that other than maybe Mitzorah, believe it or not, Va'era has the fewest songs in the Parsha.
Wow. Because Bo is not like that, right? This week we've got quite a compliment. Am I correct?
Yeah, and of course B'Shalach is, through the roof. But, there are definitely popular songs. But Va'era, I think there were two. And even, Let My People Go was one of the two. It was a very, very... but then we just get the opportunity to do other things.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't always, So, of course, my favorite are the Shiva de Nechemta. Also, that plays a different... Shiva de Nechemta is also because it's after the 3 weeks. So you're waiting for something, and this is, helps. And again, a lot of creative songs.
That's true. The sadness or the downtime, so to speak, of the 3 weeks really makes the Shiva de Nechemta, those weeks after Tisha B'Av, much, much more exciting. That's a good point. And what are the musts for this week? In other words, obviously, you've been preparing as you do all week long. Tonight you present. Our big thanks to our friends at Kedem, obviously, and then we again replay the show at 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. What are the musts? Give me a couple that must be included in a Parshas Bo Erev Shabbos selection, or Erev Shabbos show.
Honestly, I can't even remember what songs I put in the show. It's one of those, it's I don't know why. Nothing. I mean, I think I played Let My People Go again this week because it's, in Golos Mitzrayim. It's one of the, I still believe it may be the best Mordechai Ben David album ever, was Let My People Go. There's Neilech, which is, by the way,
right.
It's to be, it's a question whether Neilech really should be a Parsha song.
Right, you and I have discussed this before.
Right, because normally to make it a Parsha song, so let's say half the song needs to be in the Parsha,
right,
which Neilech certainly falls into that category, except that the entire song is the next week's Parsha.
Right. So the question is how one goes ahead and incorporates it. But again, if next week is so full of, amazing B'Shalach Shira selections, so one would say, you know what? Let's defer and move it over to Parshas Bo.
Right, or play it both weeks. So, right. But yeah. I mean, there's also B'Shalach. Forget the B'Shalach songs. Because B'Shalach has Az Yashir, which is a tefillah, you get a lot more songs thrown in there just because of the popularity of the words.
Mark Zomick is with us, and we're talking about the Erev Shabbos Show, a big, big hit, to say the least, here at the Nachum Segal Network, presented by Kedem. You'll hear it at 7 p.m. tonight. Can't recommend it highly enough. 3 a.m. again tomorrow, 9 a.m. again tomorrow after Matis hosts Friday's JM and AM this week. So what would you say the reaction is these days? Because early on, I know there was a lot of discussion about each individual parsha, and you got reaction and you got the feedback from listeners who wanted different things included. The Erev Shabbos Show was in its infant stages at that point, but now it's been many, many years, and it's a proven commodity. The system works very well, and it's obvious from the people who are listening and the number of people who are listening that it's a very popular show. Tell me about the feedback that you're getting in terms of the music and in terms of the show in general.
So I get good feedback. And by the way, part of it is in relation to what we just discussed is, what's he going to find from this week's Parsha?
Right.
That last week, also because there was so few songs, for some reason, it popped into my head. I officially added a new Parsha song last week.
Yeah.
Was Ro Sava Nafshi, which is which is totally associated with Hanukkah.
Correct.
But there is a version of that of those words that are the song is just that paragraph of Ma'os Tzur, but that paragraph is about Golus Mitzrayim. So
Right.
why is that not a Parsha song for it? So we have a little fun with that. I think Baruch Hashem, we get great feedback from the Erev Shabbos Show.
You're getting cut out, but I'm glad you brought that up, and hopefully you'll hear this and be able to comment on it. Erev Shabbos Orus, we really watched as Mark Zomick has developed this show, the Erev Shabbos Show, and one of the things that he's added is Tuvia Zomick and Erev Shabbos Orus, and this has, I said it to you off the air, and you've gotten a couple of written comments from me that people have sent in. He is making a very positive impression with the inclusion of his divrei Torah on Thursday night and Friday's Erev Shabbos Show. I'm sure you're getting a lot of nachas, and I'm sure you're getting positive feedback.
Baruch Hashem. If he sent it to me a day earlier, I'd be even happier. But I really, the truth is, it's all him. It was his idea. He puts it together from start to finish. I get a fully, developed file, over WhatsApp, and I really got great feedback. It's also, you play. He's been doing it for over a year, so he's already in a second cycle, where you play around. When do we play it? Right? What part of the show does it fit into? And so, one of the things that we've done with part of the show is, I guess some listeners might notice, a part of the show becomes what we call the final hour, right? Which is what we play the last hour before an Eastern time before candle lighting.
Right.
And so I felt that towards the end of that, just to have a good spurt of, Hisorus, of Dvar Torah, as part of that final preparation run into Shabbos. And again, I've gotten some good feedback. Oh, even just told me, Mayor Fertig says, he had two comments about the final hour. One was, he had no idea that Adam, Tuvia was doing this, because Mayor says, Mayor, who was, a professional HVAC, who's my professional HVAC guy, is often running home 3 seconds before Shabbos from some emergency.
Right.
And he says that he makes it a point to turn on the stream to hear, just to put himself back into the, to bring him back to Erev Shabbos.
Amazing.
And so he had a comment about he didn't know what that was. He didn't know that Adam had been doing that. And the other comment was, every once in a while, I hear some random, Hasidish selection that seems sort of, how'd that get into this mix? And I go, well, just pay attention to the words, because most likely you're going to hear them in the liturgy over the next 24 hours. So again, that's the kind of, look, I'm just appreciative people pay attention. We know radio is always in the background for a lot of people. When people make an insightful comment, I was at an engagement party recently, and somebody's, I'm just happy that people partially pay attention, honestly.
Well, they're more than partially, and it's really become a really, really popular show. And by the way, you should tell Reb Tuvia that with AI, he can, just based on the recordings of the last year, he could probably make a Parsha book, within minutes these days, and have something to publish at this point.
Right. So we'll see. I'm not sure what kind of smartphones or computer he uses, so we'll have to be careful.
But I'm right about that. That you put all this information, all these files, AI. Obviously, it's got to be edited. You get my point.
Oh yeah, of course, and you have to go back and read it. It's funny. Reb Rabbi Rakefet, in one of his shiurim this week, said of all the things that over his 60 plus year of teaching Torah and being in the world, everything is more expensive. Gas is more expensive, food is more expensive, everything is more expensive except publishing.
Wow.
Publishing, he says, his first book on Rabbi Revel, he said they had a hand set every character in the book. And now he just emailed his whole latest book about Rabbi Belkin to the publisher, so it was just, you're right, publishing is, especially now when you can transcribe and whatever and then edit.
Pretty amazing. Cheaper. Pretty amazing. Mark Zomick, and by the way, if Let My People Go is Mordechai Ben David's #1 album, where's the double album? Because if you think about it, the double album's got a lot of amazing hits on it as well. Would you put that in the top 5?
I don't know that I would put it in the top 5 because I think that for me, the second album is, I want to say Tamid B'Simcha might be
not just One
favorite.
Shabbos. Wow.
No, not just One Shabbos. I'm not sure for me just One Shabbos is in the top 5 because also that people, Neshama,
right,
the Red album,
right,
crazy, unbelievable songs, especially with the when people put it into context with the music of that time and the orchestra. He does the whole album in Havaras Faradit, which I thought was fascinating. One of my great-grandfather's albums that he liked. So that, I think, is in that. I love MBD and Friends, the first one of those.
Yeah.
Rachem B'Chastecha with, Avram Fried. I mean, they're just that's a, Vavi Osim and
Unity. It's a good song.
Yeah, unbelievable. So, look, he's got obviously among, if not the, greatest bodies of work that has evolved with the times and evolved with him and their artistic ability. I don't think, he's certainly in the last 60 years unmatched. You could list the top 3, but number 2 and number 3, with all respect, and we could agree on who they are. He's still, there's a big gap between number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, and the proof's in the pudding because the majority of people agree with you, which is hard to get usually, a consensus on things like that. Mark Zomick, he hosts the Kedem presentation. A big shout out to Kedem, the Herzog family. He hosts the Erev Shabbos Show tonight, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right after the Kosher Terroir with Simon Jacob. The Erev Shabbos Show will be replayed at 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. tomorrow. Check it out, everybody. This is I know every week is great, and we described why. I mean, Mark and I just discussed it. But these parashos, etc., during this period of time, it's always fascinating to see what Mark includes, doesn't include, etc. I guess last week you also had Birchas HaChodesh to lean on, right?
I had Birchas HaChodesh to lean on. They're always, look, and sometimes it's just nice to play your regular Shabbos music,
Get it.
So trying to get that mix going. I'll usually try to land on, at least in my head, a theme. I think people, again, would listen, I heard a lot of Kabbalah Shabbos songs this week, played a lot of Zmiris this week. So, it's just trying to, look, I'm there. Honestly, we've discussed this over the years. This is much more about entertaining myself than entertaining anybody else, quite frankly.
Well, we're the beneficiaries of it, frankly.
That's it,
All right. Thank you, Papa. Mark, it's always a pleasure. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and good luck tonight.
You too, awesome. Mazel tov, and there should be with a lot of nachas and with your extended family and the upcoming wedding. We're the song you just played, Ezehu Ashi Asamech B'Chalko. I think you and I can acknowledge how beyond rich that we are with what we have.
Yeah, 100%. There's no question about that. I appreciate that very, very much. Mark Zomick, everybody, tonight, 7 p.m. Kedem presents the Erev Shabbos Show right here on the Nachum Segal Network. And again, it's replayed at 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. tomorrow.